Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and today we're going to do something a little different. I had planned on starting on the messy job, project that I've been putting off for more than a year, but I'm putting it off for another week because I was watching Joe Piezinski the other day, and he's got a tapping head, later newer model than mine, but he's got one, and it's called Tapmatic. That's the brand he's got, and I've got a Tapmatic. Mine's one of the earlier models, but it works wonderfully well. And I watched him using his method of tapping with it, and I thought, son of a gun, I want to do that. And I wanted a nice big pallet instead of the little mini pallet I made was okay, but it was too small, too narrow and all. And I went by the aluminum place yesterday. Well, they sell steel and stuff too, metal supermarkets, and I got a nice big piece of metal, namely this guy right here. It wasn't painted red for me or nothing. I had to put that on it myself. But anyway, I want to try Mr. Joe Pie's method, and in the at the same time give myself a nice new tool here that I may someday get to use. I was watching this Jordan Peterson guy on YouTube, and he was talking about intelligence with some other guy, and I had already been aware that half of everybody's below average. Yeah, I'm kidding you. That's true. Half of everybody's below average. Might come as a excuse me, might come as a shock to you, but they really are. But then he gave me some information I didn't know. It's against the law to induct anybody below an 83 IQ into the military. Seems like the military's figured out there isn't anything useful they can teach them to do. And then he goes on to talk about this, and there's about 16 million people in this country that are down below 85 and 83 IQ. And I thought, son of a gun, boy, that explains a lot, Anyway, let's go ahead and get on with what we're doing here, hopefully. And us guys that are below average, we'll just have to make do with the way I do it. All right? But before we get into the good stuff, that's what I've got done on the garden so far. I've got a row of tomatoes, a row of peppers, and there's onions in between the tomatoes and peppers. Strawberries down here on the end, some cabbage on sort of on this end, and these two empty looking rows are planted with okra, that being one of the main purposes of the garden. And this time I moved over here where the trees had previously been shaded and everything, and put in some squash and cucumbers. We'll see if that makes. Alright, let's get on with our project. Alright, so I dyed this thing previously before I started the video, so we didn't have to wait for it. And I've got this genuine Randy Richards scribe here, and it's one of those non-skid kind, won't roll off, hex shape. So I took the liberty of marking the corners there so I'd know how far over to put my ruler here. I'm going to pop it out of there just for now to make the first mark. And hopefully they'll get it kind of straight. Now, I thought about this. The last time around I used the DRO, and I went to a lot of trouble to make sure that everything was to the thousandth of an inch and such. But after having given it some thought, I realized this is just to hold pieces, work pieces down, and it's not necessary for it to be that kind of precision. As long as the rows are kind of straight enough to be neat, well, that'll be good enough, because we're not using it for measurements or precision layout or something. We're just using it as a surface to hold things down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark off about every inch here, and the lines will cross, and where the lines cross I'm going to come along with a center drill, and I'm going to drill it. And I'm going to do it all right here, all the drilling here on the drill press, because it's a lot faster to operate than the milling machine, the little Grizzly there. But when I go to doing the tapping with the Tapmatic, I'm going to move over to the little Grizzly because it fits the shank on the top of the Tapmatic, and this doesn't. Or I'd do it all just right here, you know. I mean, it's, if you got that kind of drill press, you can do it. So I'm going to let you sleep while I lay out all these little lines. I'm sure it's not that interesting to watch me lay out lines. Probably in the category of watching paint dry. Now, one of the key features of Joe Pye's fixture for doing the threading was he could slide the parts back and forth. Well, I've got this set up so I can slide the parts back and forth, but the tapping head can't lift it up when it heads the other direction. So it's probably a little tight as it comes across the edge here. Not sure why, but I think we're in there with just about the right amount of slack. We'll find out. But I'm going to use this move it around feature for drilling the holes. You know, I'm going to bring this thing down. I'm going to drill a hole, and I'm going to slide it and drill a hole, and slide it and drill a hole. And of course, I'm going to start them with all of them with a center drill. But that's going to be the strategy there. So I'll come down here to where my first hole is going to be, and got to move this thing around some. That's close to it. And the good thing is that once I'm lined up on the side there, all I've got to do is line up the back and forth, you know. And this is a lot of holes. 12 inches by 8 inches with a hole every ½ inch. That's probably around 144 holes, 154. I don't know. I'm not good at math, so let's just give her a shot here and see what we got. I'll lay off the oiling while you guys are watching so that you can see what I'm doing. Let's see if I need to zoom in. Yeah, I need to zoom in some. There. That should put you about the middle of the action. Alright, so got my light tangled up in the handles here. Got to come back and work on that, and I'll bring you guys back. Alright, these are setting a lot better now. Well, you get the idea. I'm going to do this for quite a while, and then I'll bring you guys back. Here's a fine how do you do. Look at that. Pops right off of there. Alright. Well, I'll see if I can't smack it around a little bit and get it on there good and tight. But that's not wonderful. Alright, I set it stop so I don't keep going down too far, and all I have to do is just watch the thing. So it goes, and this is pretty fast, and the hole drilling will go just the same. And yes, I have checked to make sure that I will go, you know, between the slots there. So, not to worry about that. You guys can sleep until I get way down the line. Alright, last row of the center drill. Okay, now I get to lift the little booger up a little bit and put in the tap drill. I'll drill all the way through the tap drill, and then I'll come back with a 1/4 inch drill and drill a 1/4 inch deep all over it, and then we'll be ready to tap the holes. Hopefully those holes are relatively straight. I don't know if might have got off a little bit in there, and then again I might not have. They look pretty good to me. I think they're straight enough for the job. Now then, we'll start off with this guy. This is the tap drill. We grease up a bunch of holes before we get started. And so it goes right on across. I'll bring you guys back to the next step. Alright, here we are rushing towards the end of the tap drill post. I discovered that I should have made my fixture where it held the metal up off of the mill table. You know, I should have had it suspended, because the back side of this thing is building up a considerable amount of burrs, and I've taken it off of there probably 6 or 8 times and filed the burrs down. Of course, it just, every time I drill a hole, I got new burrs. Alright, now the next step is going to be to get a 1/4 inch drill and drill a 1/4 inch down into the hole. And I suppose that I will turn this thing over and let that be a part of the extra deburring for the bottom side. And it may not do a good job of it. Another wonderful thing I discovered, I went in for supper, and when I come out, my DRO was dead. Dead as a doornail. I don't know what's wrong with it, but it has died. Now that's not any good at all. That's a bad thing. And it'll be like having one of my arms cut off, you know. So I doubt seriously that I'll have the, you know, the know-how to fix it. So I guess I'm going to have to get another one. Maybe I'll get one that doesn't have the instructions in Chinglish. Alright, it's turned over. I've got a stop set. And I'm putting the non-threaded part of the hole in there. So, once I finish this, I'm knocking off for the night, and we'll start again tomorrow.